I'm in the game. I'm in the game. Hello, I'm in the video with my daddy.
What's going on? Just so everyone knows, this is kind of my way of giving tribute to Terry. I'm going to re-air his Meet the Modeler episode. There about during that episode because I believe he had just gotten released from the hospital one of the times he was in there. So I will try to fast forward some of that, but we'll see how it goes. But here we go. All right. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. It is a good episode. Lots of cool little tips that I forgot about. I had to rewatch it before I did this. So hopefully you enjoy.
100% better than I did, for the last 6 months. Yeah, I've been in and out of the hospital last, I was in there in July, I was in the hospital in August, and I was back in here just a week ago. And I feel better now than all the times that I was admitted before. Because they actually found the cure. Well, not actually the cure, but they found a way to solve my problem of being able to not breathe as easy and get all this fluid off my lungs.
No, it's really, really awesome. You're doing a lot. You even look better, which
Oh
is
yeah, yeah. I look a lot better than what I did last time. I look like a death warmed over
and
compared,
and like the comment says to Terry, you even look better, and we got no problem yelling at Mopar, right?
Yeah, yeah. That was the biggest thing. Doing the hangouts and stuff. I miss not being able to aggravate Mopar because I couldn't get in there and say anything, or couldn't get on the live stream and do it. But I know that Miguel and Rick and a bunch of others, they made up for it. They kept him in place.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but anybody that's out there in the chat room that's listening or watching or whatever, I appreciate it. And I even made the statement the other day, that I appreciate anybody's concern or comments that that they make, about my health and stuff, because we are one big model community family. Florentino is one that I mentioned that too. He made a video and dedicated it just to me on these German tanks, and he posted it, on his channel and dedicated it to for me because he knows I like history so well. So he made that, and I told him, that is what is the best thing about this modeling community. I mean, we didn't have all this stuff when I was growing up or anything like that, but to have a, 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 a bunch of people that shares the same hobby and has that much consideration towards their other fellow modelers, that they consider you as part of a family. To when you're not feeling good, they don't feel good either, and they're willing to show that their support and how much concern they have. And I mean, to me, that right there is worth more than anything else. I mean, all the comments when I get out of the hospital or make a video or something, it's always take care of yourself first. Mopar said it I don't know how many times. Take care of yourself, your health, before you worry about gluing anything or painting anything. Take care of yourself and get rest, until you're able to do it. And Sarah Jane, I mean, I know she's had problems, surgery and stuff. And I always asked about her too. It's just like I said, it's just everybody looks out for everybody and supports everybody. And to me, that's the greatest thing ever about this hobby.
No, yeah. I mean, it's awesome. The impact YouTube can have.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
it's really, really cool that
Sarah just mentioned that. I just now read that. Yeah, I was the first subscriber that Sarah Jane had. She didn't have any subscribers whatsoever, and I went in and subscribed to her. I met her on Cohen's
oh yeah.
live stream, and she was on there, and I went in and subscribed to her, and she told me, she said, well, I don't have any videos. I said, that don't matter. I said, that don't keep me from subscribing to somebody just because they ain't got videos posted. If I'd done that, then I wouldn't have half the, people that I subscribe to, because a lot of them, they've got the channel, but they just never have made the first video. Now, if you look on mine, I've been on YouTube since 2015, but I only started making the videos about 4 months ago. I mean, I was on there for 5 years almost, or going on 6 years, and never even posted a video. But that didn't mean I didn't watch YouTube and watch every model, uh, car show or whatever the model related videos that was on there. It was just the fact that I was on there and learning, what other people was doing and seeing what they was doing. And then, my kids, they told me, why don't you just go ahead and make one? Because I really didn't know it was that easy. I thought it was a lot more complicated, and I know it could be. I don't edit nothing. I just go on there, take my phone, come in here, sit down, make a video, and depending on which way if I'm showing something, then I'll turn the screen around the opposite way, and then I'll just go and upload it right straight to YouTube, right straight from my phone. I don't have to edit it, but I know a lot of people, they use their laptop. I've got a GoPro 9 that I bought that's not even used yet, and I know that you can make it a lot more presentable and stuff like that, doing the intro videos and everything. But I figured, as long as you're getting a video out there and showing or getting the point across to what you're trying to say or what to say, that's all that matters. People it ain't about all the the glam and the glory of making the screen blow up and all this stuff when you first click on to the video. But to me, I would rather bypass all that stuff, go right straight to the video anyway. And a lot of times I'll do that. It's not necessarily a model video, but if I watch another video and I got to sit there for 5 minutes waiting for all the commercials and all the intro video to get through, then I'll just click off of it and say, this ain't worth it. But there's a lot of them on there that you open up their video or their link, and it goes right straight to it. And to me, I would a whole lot rather do that than have all this intro stuff and everything. Which that's just me. And
there's a lot of people like that. Like they won't, like if there's an ad on the video, like when they won't even watch it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people like that. So and like,
well, I don't know how YouTube rates that anyway. Now, even like on my videos, if you click on one of the videos that I have, it will show an ad at the very beginning before my video starts, and I only have 221 subscribers. I'm not monetized. I don't, get paid for the ads that runs in front of me. I don't have no control over those ads. I didn't put them there. It's just for some reason YouTube puts an ad before my video starts. But then I can click on some videos and it'll start right up. But I don't know if it's just something other YouTube does, just out of hit and miss or what.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like
I agree with you, Rick.
Just take people that have like a lot of views but not very many subscribers.
Yeah,
they'll get ads. Or someone that has a ton of freaking subscribers and very little videos, and they won't. It's like
that could be true. I mean, that might be the reason why. I mean, because the last 3 or 4 videos that I put up, about my health and stuff or being in the hospital, is I've got one video I've got almost 400 views off of it. And those are videos that they put up. They might just have 20 or 30 views. But all that I've done for the last 4 videos, and I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody else or nothing else. It's just the fact that everybody, all my subscribers and stuff, has watched the video, and I appreciate that. I mean, that's the whole point in doing them, is to be able to to share stuff with everybody. But I'll have like 320 or 315 or this last video that I put on there that was in the hospital back in August. I think I got 210 views off it. And if I made one right now, it's hard to say how many I would get. But it's not, that might be why that they put the ad on there. Is because, like you said, it might be on account of all the views that video is getting that they, do that. But it's not because I put it there. I mean, and I ain't getting anything from it. I ain't getting nothing from any of it. But
yeah, Mopar, they're not making money off all of us. They're making money from the ad.
Oh yeah, and even they're only making money off of that depending on the length of time the person's watching. That's what they're getting paid for. Is if they're watching it for the whole full length of it, or if they're clicking off of it, just so it says skip here or skip, uh, whatever, and go right straight to the video. Well, that's usually what I do. I wait till it comes up and says skip it, and I'll skip it. I don't sit and watch it.
Yeah. Well, it's really good that you're feeling better. So let's it's been, we did the intro for about 10 minutes. Let's how long you been in the hobby? Actually been in the hobby?
Well, I remember my first model car when I was in the second grade. I was in the hospital. I had to have my tonsils took out. And that is the earliest that I can remember. My dad brought me a model car in the hospital for me to build with the glue. And to be, if my life depended on it, I couldn't tell you what it is. I remember it was a little red car. It's probably about a 1/32 scale or something. No, probably a Limburg or something. But it's a little red roadster looking car. Couldn't tell you what it was if my life depended. But that's been 59 years ago. So, but I was 6 years old at the time in '62 is when I remember putting together my first model car. And as the years went over, as I got older, started going and buying more models. Back then, I didn't have where I lived at. We didn't have a hobby shop or anything that you could go to and buy models. We had what they called a 5 and dime store, and it was called GC Murphy's, and then we had one called Hobbs, and it was all like what they consider as a 5 and dime store. And my mom, she'd go every Saturday to the beauty shop and have her hair done in town. Well, while she was doing that, me and my brother, we was out going to the 5 and dime store getting model cars. We'd usually, we'd buy like one or two, each, and we'd bring them back home and we'd sit there and build them. And then the next week we'd do the same thing. I mean, we put model cars together back then, just left and right, because that's all we had to do. Back then we didn't have no video games or nothing like that. We had to make up our own games. So to kill time or occupy our time, we sat and built models. And then another thing that I was thinking about earlier today or this morning is some of you people out there, if you're older, you might relate to it, or if you live like in the country where we did in the city, you probably didn't. But when I was in about the about the 6th or 7th grade, we used to a lot of the boys there in my class, we would they put model cars together, and we would actually, after we got one built, we would bring it to school and show them the model that we built, and they bring theirs. We'd tell them the day before, we'll bring your model to school tomorrow, and let's see what what you've done or how's it look. And we done that all through grade school. And then it got to where we would draw names and stuff during Christmas time, or exchange names. I'm sure everybody's done that. And we'd always tried to make it to where we would get one of the guys' name that built model cars, because then we know we could go buy him a model car, which at the time was only about $2 or not more than that, because this was back in the '60s. I even got one of the models that I've actually had since the '60s. It's the only one that I really got that I was managed to save, and I was looking at it here not long ago. The price on it was 79 cents, and it's copyrighted 1967, and that's the oldest model kit that I own, that I have since I was a kid. All the rest of them is just long gone, and I wish that's my biggest regret in the model building time that I've done it, the 59 years or over 59 years, is that I didn't take care of the models that I had back then, because I look at the models that they have now, and you see all these reproductions and stuff. But back then in the '60s and '70s, I had all the originals. I mean, my favorite model that I remember building was the Bounty Hunter funny car.
Okay.
Now you can buy the Connie Coletta car now, from Hobby Lobby or whatever, but it's not the same model. The one I had was the gold colored car that actually had Bounty Hunter wrote on it, on the side. The one that he's got now that you can buy actually says Connie Coletta on the side, and it's a white one. I think it's a Mustang, but I had the original from back in 1973, and that model got destroyed, and I threw a fit. we used to have a lady, a cleaning lady, that come in, once a week, and she, ironed for my mom and cleaned the house and stuff. Well, she got her to paint our bedroom, which I guess in a way it's my fault, but she painted our bedroom a light blue color, or my mom got her to. And I come home from school, and they was paint covered the whole top of that model, where she poured the paint out of that can all over the top of the shelf that had that model on it. I mean, I completely went off on them. I mean, I was just in high school at the time, but I remember I called her everything but a milk cow. I mean, I mean that was my favorite model. That was the best model that I consider, the best that I ever built. And I had it painted gold, and I had the decals and everything on it. Had, at the time I just had, thread for the spark plug wires and stuff. But still, when I come home and seen the whole top of it covered light blue paint, I mean, I just lost it. And I never did get that model back, and now it's about $300 if you find one, the original. And I'm not going to pay that much for a model, just in kind of the memories or whatever.
Yeah.
But they was several, and I do have several models, that I put together back in the 60s and 70s, but I bought them, off eBay, several years ago. And just like the Moving On tractor and trailer, I put that model together back in 71, that I remember, 71 or 72, because I remember we used to own a grocery store, and I sat in the back of that grocery store and put the model car together. I can remember where I was and what I was, what place I was at when I put those models together back in those days. I mean, uh, I used to have the uh, uh, the the orange stagecoach. What's it called? Boot Hill Express. I remember exactly where I was at when I put that model car together. We had a little park up above my house, about, maybe a quarter of a mile away, and they had benches and shelters and everything set up. And me and another one of my cousins, we went one Saturday up there and sat underneath the shelter and put model cars together there at that shelter. And that boot what he done. But I mean, that's kind of memories that I have from building models in my earlier days, is knowing where I was at and what I was doing and what place I was at, when I done it. I used to have the John Player Indy car, the original one, not the one you can buy now, but the original one back in the 70s when we had the store. They had, my mom and them had a desk back behind the meat counter, and that's where I was set when I put that model car together, and I remember that to this day, and I'll never forget it. But I've had, several models, the International Cab Over. I've had, that I bought it back again, but I just built a lot of models that I wished that I would take after so long. I'd take and put a firecracker in them, light it, and shove it down the sidewalk just to watch it blow up, or take a squirt model car glue all over it and set it on fire and then throw it down the sidewalk. But, I mean, destroyed models that was probably, it's worth a lot of money today, that I just more or less wasted. And at one time, me and my brother both, we had 117 model cars sitting on the shelf at one time.
Oh
But
wow.
but that was between both of us, and we had a closet that didn't have nothing in it but model car boxes. Because
Now the actual kits are them finished.
though we had 117 of them actually put together, sitting on the shelf,
Okay.
but all those 117 that we put together, we never threw the box away. If I could have just kept the box art, it would be worth a lot of money right now.
Heck, you
And
could just sell the box on eBay for like $100.
yeah, and we kept all the directions for every model. We kept all the directions together, like in one box. You know, for every model that we built, we had the directions for it. We kept all the extra decals in a separate box, which I still do that now. You know, keep it separate. I don't have like a parts box, you know, that everything gets dumped into one big bin or whatever. Um, I always keep the extra parts in the box that actually come in. So if I wanted to go back and look for a part, then I look for that box, and I know that that box would have that part in it because I know what the part, you know, went to, instead of having to dig through a big tote full of just parts, you know,
Yeah.
wheels. And I know a lot of people does that. They just dump everything in one big bin and they start going through it and up for stuff. But I just never could do it. I got OCD too bad to do that, I guess. Um, but you know, I try to keep everything sorted out and separated.
So with you being in the hobby this long, what do you think of today's product compared to way back when?
Oh, they ain't no comparison. I mean, you know, we've talked about this in our hangout and stuff. Uh, Mopar knows, and John Paul, because they've been doing it about as long as I have, or you know, Big Charlie, or a lot of these other guys has done it. Um, it's just that, you know, now you got all this photo etch stuff, you've got all this 3D printing, you've got resin kits. We didn't have none of that stuff back in. We didn't have the pre-wired distributors. I mean, we was lucky to get one wired with thread that we was doing good, or fishing line.
Yeah.
But you know, you got so much stuff, you know, like Detail Masters and ProTech. You know, you can buy all this stuff from them. Pegasus wheels and rims and stuff. We didn't have stuff like that to choose from. Like I said, we go to a five and dime store or even a drugstore and buy a model car. We was lucky just to get the model car, a can of spray paint, and a tube of Tester's glue, and maybe a little bottle of Tester. Now I've got some small bottles of Tester paint. I was talking about it in a live stream one day. I've got little bottles of Tester's paint sitting here on my shelf that is old. Is so old that the price on top of the lid is 10 cents. That's how long I've had it.
And it's
Not any good.
Right? It's not a craft.
It's no, it's regular little Tester's bottle of Tester's paint. But I've had it so long. I mean, I don't know if it's dried up or not. More likely is. But it's just the fact. You know, I mean, it's just like collecting model cars. I mean, collecting the paint bottles, you know, for that long, or keeping them for that long, is part of the hobby. I mean, like I said, you know, I've got some. It's you know, when was the last time anybody can remember going and buy a bottle of Tester's paint for 10 cents?
Not in my lifetime.
Yeah, and I've got some that's got 40 cents on the top of the lid. They're already pre-marked, and now I don't know what, you know, the bottles cost now. They're probably like $2 or $3 for a little bottle.
Well, I mean, they're no longer going to have that. At least that's how I understand some of it. They're discontinuing for that, but
I don't know about the little bottle testers. I thought the Model Master is the only one they's doing away with.
You never know what Rust-Oleum's going to do, man.
Oh yeah, that's true. But as far as, you know, getting back to the questions about building models then and building them now, yeah, to me it was a lot more fun building back then, because you didn't have all this stuff, you know, and then too, you know, we didn't have model car shows and stuff like that, unless you want to call, like I said, us all, you know, kids in grade school getting together and bringing our models and showing them, you know, what we've got, you know, or done that week or whatever. You know, if you wanted to call that a model car show, I guess you could, but that's the extent to it. You know, we didn't have any model car clubs or nothing like that we could join. I mean, but you're talking 58, 59 years ago, you know, back in the early 60s.
Yeah.
But now you've got all these, you know, people spend $200 or $300, you know, to work on it, build a model, and take them all year just to be able to put it in a model car show, just like, you know, a real car show itself. I mean, that is fine and dandy if you want to do that. But I mean, I would love to be able to do that myself, but my health, I mean, I couldn't even go to a model car show because, you know, I couldn't last long enough in my oxygen. But yeah, I would like to be able to do that. I'm not that good, I'd say, to qualify to win anything. But it's just the fact, to being able to mingle with people and where you want anything or not. It's like Matthew said on his model car videos channel the other day. He entered the show, a couple models. He didn't win anything, but he said that he wasn't looking to win anything to start with. He just wanted to go to the first model car show that he'd ever been to and meet the other people that he talks to, as his subscribers that he talks to on YouTube all the time. I mean, that alone, is well worth it. You don't have to go and win. That's not what it's about anyway. To me, I don't look at building model cars as a competition to start with. I build it to suit me, because when I get it built, it'll go up on the shelf, and unless you come to my house, nobody else will ever see it but me. So why would I need to spend $300 or $400 on pre-wired distributors and all this stuff just to set it up there and look at it? I mean, like Matthew said, he don't put a coil wire on his models. It ain't gonna start up no way. So, what's the point? And I feel the same way he does. There's no point, but unless you are going to a show, there's no point to go into all that great detail, put a model car together for you to be the only one to see it. And besides that, you're building it to suit you, not everybody else anyway. Or at least I do. That's like that tractor I'm building. Yeah, it may not satisfy or suit everybody else, but as long as I'm satisfied with it, that's all counts. That's why I said when I had my body shop, I had a car. The guy that I worked with in the mines, I had my body shop at the same time. His wife wrecked his car and messed the fender up on it. Well, I had to put a new fender on it for him. I painted that fender 7 times before I got that paint to match the rest of the car. Well, after the second time I painted, he comes and told me, he said, "That's good, looks good enough for me." He said, "That's close enough." I said, "Well, it might be close enough and good enough for you, but it's not good enough for me." Because I said, when you go out of here, my reputation is going with you. I said, and you go up and somebody asks you, "Where'd you get that car painted that the paint don't match?" "Oh, Custom Paint and Body Shop's the one done it." Well, then that makes me look bad that they say, well, if they'll put work out like that and call it satisfactory, then there's no point in me going there. But when you leave here and you can't tell that car has ever been hit or ever been painted, then you can tell them that I was the one that done it, and they will get me more people coming to see me. And that's the way I've always been. I satisfy myself, on anything I do.
And really, at the end of the day, it's only the opinion that really matters, because most of these model shows and stuff, at least some of them that I've been around, they're all rigged anyway. They already know who's going to win before. It's all like it's not fair.
That since you mentioned that, I mean, I'm just going off the wall on every subject but models. But where I live at now, I only live probably 20 minutes at the most from the drag strip I used to drag race at. And that's the reason why I quit drag racing at that particular drag strip. Is if you wasn't from the area, you didn't stand a chance in hell of winning. It was all in the locals that had the money and the judges and the lights. They would hold you. I've raced cars before that, but there was no way that they could beat me. But yet they would give them 2 or 3 lights at the starting line, and they would be halfway down the track before I could even get a green light to go. And they wasn't no way I could catch them. And I was just beating my car to death for nothing. And I finally said, the hell with this. I'll go back to racing somewhere to where I know that I can leave the same time that the other one does, like a real race ought to be, no matter what it is. You're racing car for car. You ain't racing a Volkswagen outrun a 630 horsepower car. I mean, that's just don't make any sense. But naturally, if you let him get within 50 foot of the finish line before you get a lead, he's going to beat you. And that's the way they done it at that racetrack. And I told her, I said, this ain't right. I mean, if you got enough pull, you can win. They'd see it you won before they ever turned the tree on. but that's not right.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's crazy once you get kind of into the group aspect of this, how friendly and unfriendly it can be all at the same time. you know.
Well, like Rick Zink said there, I was reading that there in the chat room. Yeah, this is like a show and tell from 6th grade.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
it really, really is.
yeah, and that's that's what it's all about. Just like we aggravate Mopar all the time because he's all the time showing diecast and stuff on the hangouts, but you don't ever see him putting them together. So we always kid him, well, who put that one together for you or whatever. But that's what we always joke. So when it's time for Mopar to do his show and tell and to show everything he's got. But yeah, but that's what it's all about, and that's what I really like about that, and the fact that everybody it's one big family. That means more to me than anything in the world. And it's Doug Hensley lives about 30 minutes away from me. I've never got a chance to meet him. I know you know who he is. I mean, a lot of people know who Doug Hensley is from Hensley's Hobbies from Lexington. But
Lexington, what, Kentucky?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people, if you've seen any videos at all within the last couple of months, a lot of these model builders and subscribers that subscribe to me, they've been doing a appreciation build just for Doug. Several of them has, and a lot of people knows who Doug is. And like I said, he only lives about 30 minutes from me, but where I'm not able to drive and go and see him, and he's not able to. Well, he don't drive at all. He has to get his brother or somebody to take him. So he's not able to come see me, but yeah, we talk to each other all the time. I watch all these videos and comment and stuff. He's got an awesome garden, and
it seems like the Kentucky area just in general is like a hobby central. It's not just modeling. There's like I mean, I think there's a drag strip there. There's there's
the one I'm talking about. It's only the one that's only about 20 minutes away from me right now that I used to drag race at back in the 70s, or actually 76. They've changed that. It's actually an NHRA track. It's officially NHRA track. I've got pictures of Dean Snow having his funny car at that racetrack out here before, and watched him run. But it's and I even got one of his models over here sitting on the shelf too. To put together. Him and Jungle Jim and Blue Max and a bunch of them. Who was it? Raymond Beetle that drove the Blue Max? Can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I'm
I
sure
can't
someone in the chat will know that. But
yeah, I know Raymond Beetle raced a funny car, but I can't remember what car it was he actually run. I was thinking it was the Blue Max, but that was a long time ago. I watched a documentary on Kenny Bernstein last night on his racing career from back in the 70s and 80s when he ran for Budweiser. I mean, then he was my all-time funny car hero because he won, a couple of nice, championships back to back, and he did, at that time he couldn't be beat more or less. And then he switched over to Top Fuel dragster, and then he kind of actually quit then. But he was the John Force back then that John Force is now today. John Force can't hardly be beat. But actually, Kenny Bernstein was the first one that's ever set the 300-mile-an-hour record in a quarter mile.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, back in '86. He told that in the documentary I watched last night. He set the record for breaking the 300-mile-an-hour in '86.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So let's bring it back to the hobby for a second. So what are some of your favorite tools?
My favorite tools?
Yeah.
Probably my X-Acto knife and my my nippers, screw cutters.
So what kind of screw cutters do you have?
The ones I got right now is Citadel. And to me, I give, I think, $30-some for them, but they cut through it like butter. I mean, I know they say that, Tamiya makes better ones and Mr. Hobby makes the good one. There's all kinds of them out there. But I guess it's just, the person's, favorite choice. Same way with driving a car. Some people like a Ford, some like a Chevrolet. I guess it's just on what you get used to. But I ordered these Citadel. I like the way they feel. They cut smooth. They don't leave no jagged edge. Uh, when you cut the part off, you barely can't see it if you can see it at all. And to me, is the best ones I've had. And I've got some, other ones.
Yeah, see, I have the starter set one. I have like
Yeah.
two of them, I think. And these
Yeah.
things, even these things, they're the cheaper ones, but these
Well,
things are awesome.
Yeah, well, I've got a set of them too. The little cheaper ones. Um, but I guess that. Well, and my uh, drill vise is another
Oh,
one.
yeah, yeah, there you go.
Especially since you're putting spark plug wires stuff in. Drilling the holes out. For your fuel lines stuff like that. That tool is handy to me, and I like to use it. And it's actually what it wasn't made for model cars to start with. What these originally are made for is cleaning out the torch tip on a oxygen acetylene torch. That's why I've got so many sets of them where I worked in the mines and used torches and stuff. When that tip gets stopped up, then you take that little drill bit set and put and stick in them holes to unstop your torch tip. Is what they're originally for, and that's where I buy mine at. I go to an oxygen acetylene where they sell, for refill tanks or whatever, and you can buy one for about $8. Where you can buy them on Amazon, it may cost you a little more, but that's what the originally it was. But everybody used them on the modeling part because it's the fact you can get such small drill bits and use them. I see John Paul's in the chat room.
Yeah. Now, see, Mopar, no starting fights in my chat here, buddy. It's cool, but no starting fights. Not cool, man.
I just had to say Ford Chevrolet, didn't I? See what we had to put up with Mopar.
So,
He can't
so
leave.
are you,
He can't.
you an airbrush guy or a spray paint or spray can?
Oh yeah, no, I've used airbrush. That's another thing. Back in the '70s, around '76 anyway, when I was, I put models together ever so often. I mean, I quit for a long time. High school, I didn't build that much because the band practice and everything took up a lot of my time. After school, because I was in the band, I played tenor saxophone for all 4 years, and but it took up a lot of time. So I just built models ever so often or whatever. But I opened up my body shop in '76, and I ran it for 14 years before I quit. But where I had that body shop, any model, and it was actually a customized body shop. I done customized painting and work. I could put, I customized, vehicles. I put, like fender flares, um, ground effects, hood scoops. I would fiberglass them into the body and all that stuff, and then reshape them, repaint them. And I also done painted murals because all 4 years of high school I took art class, and I love to draw and I love to paint. I used to paint, Bob Ross pictures and stuff at one time, but I got to where I was really pretty good with the airbrush. I painted a lot of graveyard sceneries back in the '70s on the side of these vans and stuff. When that was the big thing. As you see these vans back in the '70s, all this shag carpet and everything in it, and all these big graveyard sceneries and different sceneries painted on the side of them. Well, I'd done that, while I had my body shop, so I got pretty good at airbrushing. So I've never actually went and sprayed uh, any models with a spray can. I always used the airbrush because I had an air compressor, the time that I had my body shop, and I would just use it. And I've got like 5 airbrushes now. And the first one that I ever had or I bought when I had my body shop was in '76, and it still works today just as good as it did the day I bought it. I mean, that's how well that those airbrushes will hold up. if you take care of them. Now, I've bought parts for them, other needles and stuff like that. It's got bent over the years, but it's a Pache VL dual feed, dual action. And then I've got the Pache H, it's single action. I've not had it very long. And then I've got the latest one that I bought here when I started back to build models. It's the Pache Vision. And that's a little bit more expensive. And the only reason the difference is I wanted a gravity feed airbrush because all of the other ones is such a siphon feed. And I wanted, one that was gravity feed. And where you didn't have to put some.
I would say this about the Porsche H. It is the workhorse in the modeling community.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah. And, it will do just about anything that you want it to. The only thing that I don't like about it, which, it's really not a drawback, is the fact that it's a single action airbrush. Now, like, if I'm a painting and I want the paint to dry, instead of having to get out a blow dryer and, kind of dry, in between coats, I can take that BL and just hold down on it and just have air alone come out and dry it and just keep right on the going. Whereas with that, H, you pull the trigger down, you got paint and air all together. But that's good, if that's what you want, or and it's good too if you're just learning to airbrush. That's But I always said, start with the best to learn on, because if you start out with something bad that it ain't no count, then you're not going to get any better at it because you're only using the best, the equipment that's what it's capable of. It's like I used to play guitars, and my uncle told me, said, if you're going to play one, get a good one. Don't go out and buy one that it'll make your fingers so sore that you'll give up on it because you'll never learn. So my first guitar I got, I made sure that it was a good one. Same way with my mandolin. I used to play bluegrass music, and I went and bought the same exact mandolin that Bill Monroe used to play. It was a Gibson F5. It cost me $2,800 back in '90. I mean, right now they're about $6,500 or more. But I bought the best that could be bought at the time to learn to play, and it makes it a whole lot better. Same way with like photography or doing YouTube videos. You take the best camera. If you done like a little cheap one, naturally you can make them with your iPhone or your phone, but you ain't going to have the quality that they would if you had a $1,500 or $2,000 camera shooting it with.
Well, I will say this about some of the newer iPhones. The cameras on those are getting pretty good. That's what I've been using for. Yeah,
well, I've been seeing the ads on TV are like for the iPhone 13. It's supposed to have probably one of the best cameras in it now that they've ever come out with so far. Now, this phone that I'm on right now, it's a can't think of the name of it.
Samsung.
It's the Samsung 9, and I mean the camera. To me, the camera works fine. I mean, I look like I'm pretty clear on here from what I can see on the screen, and I do have a good signal in my internet here too, so I don't jerk and skip and in and out and all that stuff. It stays pretty steady. So, but this camera I think does a pretty good job. But like I said, I got a GoPro 9. I get $505 for it. Never have turned it on. I just bought it just to have it. I thought I was going to use it, but then since this one here, well, actually my kids want to talk me into it. I think they done that just to get me to give it to them. Because they got the GoPro 4 and they got the GoPro 7, and then they said, well, if you buy that GoPro 9, said it's got all that shatter or shutter or stuff to keep it from shaking effect and all this stuff, and they use theirs to go dirt bike riding and stuff, and you get sick watching them with it on their helmet where they're jarring up and down. So I think, like I said, I think it just wanted me to buy that one so they could use it to go dirt bike riding or something with, and which they've never asked for it, but I ain't volunteered to give it to them either. But But anyway,
So Terry. So I'm gonna back up a little bit. What
all right.
paint were you using in the airbrushes since you had your body shop? Were you
What
using some of the craft acrylic? Were you using enamel?
I painted all the cars that I painted back then. This was long before they come out with the 2-part, paint. Because this is, like I said, back to the 70s. You either had straight enamel or you had acrylic enamel
Yeah.
or you had lacquer. You didn't have, this 2-part, base coat, clear coat stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That come along long after I shut my body shop down. But I painted all the cars, in my body shop. I painted them with acrylic enamel, and I used polyurethane clear. Well, when I painted them all a car, I painted them the same way. I painted them with acrylic enamel paint and polyurethane clear. And here back around 2008, when I actually started getting back into building models, after my move and everything, and health started going downhill a little bit more. Um, I went to the car dealerships around where I lived, Ford
Mm-hmm.
dealership, Chevrolet, all them, and went to the body shop and asked them if they had any leftover paint that they wanted to get rid of. I got probably 60 or 70 quarts of paint just at one Chevrolet dealer. And it's all factory paint, 2-part base coat, clear coat, which had already been mixed, but that didn't matter. But I got all kinds of paint that was already mixed, that was factory color, that I could paint my model cars with. And it didn't cost me nothing. They was glad to get rid of it. And that's why one of the tips I always tell people, a lot of people don't think, to go to a place like that and get paint where they can use that on their model. And then all you have to do is clear it. But it's actually, if you want to paint that model, it's like they say, you go to these model car shows and they got these rivet counters. Well, if they want to get really picky, you can say, well, this model is painted the exact same car color that it was on the real car. So they can't, come back and say, well, you got the wrong shade of paint on that car, so it don't count as factory or whatever. And
Yeah,
it's free.
I mean it's crazy when rivet counting, those guys
Yeah,
can take a hike. But
yeah. But and that's it's just stuff like that over the years that I've learned. Tips and stuff that I've accumulated that I use that most people don't even think about using. That's like the other day I was in the clip on GI Mechanics live stream, and
Mhm.
I was talking about if you don't have bare metal foil to use, and you need a piece like to put around a like a smokestack or something other, or a fuel tank, you can take an icicle, just like you get put on a Christmas tree. You can take icicles and use that for bare metal foil. A lot of people don't even think about it, doing something like that. And that's one of the things that over the years that I've learned. You can take a lot of stuff that people take for granted, don't even think about, and convert or use it in your model building.
Mhm. No, that's
And
very good point. That's a
and
very good
like
point.
and like a lot of people do use guitar strings and stuff, for making brake line or fuel lines, brake fuel line stuff with. You can do that, or you could even make springs out of the guitar strings for your throttle linkage. Um, you watch Lucas C. He has a video on how he done that, and but just a lot of things that you can pick up or use. It's like back in the '90s or whatever. When they used to do X-rays and they put it on film instead of on the disc like they do now. I used to go around to the hospital and go to the X-ray department, and I would ask them for all the overexposed X-rays that they had, because if it's overexposed and they couldn't tell who it was or nothing, they would give it to you. I would use those to make tinted glass to put in the cars. I just cut the X-ray out and
Yo.
uh, and put it in the inside of the car and make it look like it had tinted windows. And I've even used the overexposed 35 millimeter film too. If
And
it's a
that
little bit
stuff's
light,
really flimsy, right?
huh?
That stuff's pretty flimsy. It just cuts real with an
Yeah,
X-Acto really nice, right?
yeah. and it's easy to work with. I mean, you just cut out, your outline, of what you're going to put it on the side, in the back, or whatever. Or if you wanted to do like a curbside and you wanted to not even put no interior in it, or even though it had interior, cover all the windows with it.
No, that's it. That's a good tip. I like that
Yeah,
one. I've never heard
but
that one before, but that would
but
work.
but you can't hardly get it now though, because since they switched everything over to digital or put it on, CDs, they don't have the film no more. It only worked back then. But I have, done that and, used it. And like I said, I look out for everything. I don't throw nothing away if I think I can use it, to work, put on a model. That's like when I go in the hospital. All those little cups that they give you, they bring your salt and pepper and all that stuff in.
Yeah.
I save every one of them because they're
Mhm.
good about putting parts in when you come home. Where your the little plastic pill bottles that they give you the pills in. Well, those got a scale on the side of them, and, in milliliters for the liquid stuff. Well,
Well,
those
it-
come in handy. I mean, yeah, you can buy them at the dollar store and stuff, but why buy them when you can just save them right there, in the hospital? I've took IV line, that they've had me on, IV stuff, and I would save it when they took the IV out and they start throwing it away. I say, I want that. Well, I'd take the IV tube and use it to make radiator hoses for tractor and trailers because it's
oh,
almost the
there you
same.
go.
It's almost the same diameter.
Nice. I
The
like that.
the
I
little
do the
the,
same thing, but I never
the,
thought about that one.
the little butterfly needles that they use to draw blood with, the little bitty hose that runs from them. When I was in the hospital, not this time, but the time before, they always throw them away. And I told that lady, I said, well, are there any way that you could let me have that? She said, where you want it for? She said, I ain't supposed to give you. I don't want the needle part. I just want the tubing because it's so little. It's ideal size for a fuel line, and it's clear. And I told her, I said, what I wanted it for. And she said, give me a few minutes and I'll be back. She come back. She went and took and cut just the tubing off about 20 of those butterfly needles and brought them back in there and gave them to me in a baggie. I told her, I said, as long as you don't get fired over, I guess we're all right. But she give me all those little. Uh,
Well, and the worst part is you're paying for all that stuff anyway. Well, at
yeah,
least your insurance is, but
yeah.
you're paying for it, so you might as well try to use the most out of it.
That's the same way with, like, when they come in and flush your IV out, with that saline solution, with that needle. Well, they always throw it away. So I told them, I said, don't throw it away. I said, I want them. Then they would say, well, what do you want these for? I said, well, I cut the ends off of them, and I can take the barrel part of it, cover it with bare metal foil, and put them on a tractor and trailer and use them and make drain pipes out of them, or make stacks out of something other with them. I said, yeah, I could use them, cut them off, and I can still use them. And you got the bigger ones, you got the smaller ones, and I've done that, save them before. That's just like the rubber band that they tie around your arm, when they draw blood or start IV to cut off the blood flow and whatever, make your veins bigger. They
Sure.
always throw them away. Well, I've got 5 or 6 of those from the last couple of times being in the hospital, and you take that rubber band thing, you cut them in fine strips, you make the ideal seat belts.
Oh, there you go.
Because they've got the same texture to them that a regular seatbelt does. And
Yeah.
I've got blue ones, I've got red ones. I mean, like I said, I'm all the time watching for something that I can use in model building. And a lot of people, may say, well, that's fine, dandy, but they don't think about it. That's like these little things right here. One of my inhalers comes in this little tin cup
Okay.
in the box.
Yep.
Well, instead of throwing all these away like I've been doing for over the years, I started saving them because they're ideal, about the right size to put parts and stuff in. Or if you're like working, and you say you're using your extra thin Tamiya glue, uh, if you don't want to pour it out all over the table or everywhere, set it in one of them little trays. That way, if it does get spilt, it ain't going nowhere but right there in that little tray.
Yeah.
And they're all free. Every month I get a new inhaler, and I was just throwing them away. But then the reason why I started saving them is, like I said, Doug Hensley has used the same one, and he said, he told on one of his videos, he said, well, I save these all the time because they come in handy about putting stuff in. And I said, well, shit, I get the same inhaler. I always start saving mine, and now I've got probably 10 or 12 or so of them.
Well, see, Terry, when I mix paint, I use pill bottles because they seal.
Yeah.
They seal, so it'll stay good.
I've got a bunch of those too.
Those times that you forget to paint the bumper and that's the car.
Yeah. But now, like, I've got a couple of these on my desk here. I've got my toothpicks in it in one. I've got my Q-tips in another one. I mean, I just use them, to hold different things. And but I mean, like I said, I don't throw anything away that I think I can use, or if I see that it might be a possibility of using it somewhere down the road or something. I guess that's just part of, over the 59 years, of gathering up stuff. Because like I said, back then we didn't have the stuff to work with. Our imagination was the only thing that we had to work with back then. I even told people before. My mom, like I said, when she used to go to the beauty shop every Saturday and have her hair fixed, I guess it was just one of those things that women done back then. But she would have her hair sprayed with hairspray, but it was silver hairspray. Now I can remember just plain as day. I painted a '57 Chevrolet model that I put together. I had a straight axle front end under it. I didn't like the way the paint turned out. I painted it blue, and it was too dark and blue. I didn't like it. Well, I didn't have no other paint to, because it didn't used up all the paint. I didn't have no way of getting any. But I know my mom kept that hairspray in the bathroom in the cabinet. So I went in and got that can of hairspray, and I painted that model car with that silver hairspray, and it stayed like that for I don't know how long, and it stuck. I mean, it never come off, it never peeled off or nothing. But I mean, I just stuff like that, it worked. A lot of people wouldn't even think to use color hairspray like that.
And that's like when you go to like Walmart or Fred Meyer's or whatever, Costco. Sometimes some of the best modeling stuff is not in the hobby section.
Oh yeah,
or the automotive section.
That's like I was telling somebody the other day. You take these hood scoops, that's I don't know what kind they actually are, but you can take these fake fingernails and turn one up and one down and glue them together, and you can make the exact same. Makes the hood scoop look just like it. It's like what they put on the pro stock cars. Mm-hmm. The type hood scoop I'm talking about. But you can make a hood scoop just out of fake fingernails. A lot of people wouldn't even think about that.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Or you could just take a half of one and glue it right onto the hood and make it half of one.
Yeah, I can see that. That's there's all kinds of small little things you can do.
Oh yeah. And
so the one topic I want to cover since we're getting close to an hour is what's your favorite build?
Well, every time somebody asks me, I always tell them the same thing. The one that I still got in the box.
All right. I like
that. Because every time you build even any model out there, I'll tell you, no matter how many models they got, they always look forward to starting on that next one.
No, yeah, I like that.
To see how good it is. So that's why I always tell everybody, I say, well, what's your favorite model that you've ever built? And I always tell them the one that's still in the box. Because every time you build one, you get a little better. And that's why I said, you can't have a favorite or your best because your best is not actually being built yet. The way I look at it. A lot of people may say, well, no, one that I done 4 or 5 years ago looks better than what I do now. Well, that might be so, but still, it's that 4 or 5 years ago, you didn't have the experience that you've got now when you put that next one together. you didn't have the stuff available at the time back then. So that's, best answer that I can give anybody when they ask that question.
So from what it sounds like, you mostly try to do cars. Do you do anything else like figures, trucks, tanks,
I've got, like, well, when I was younger kids, I had the Frankenstein, the werewolf, the Dracula, the Phantom of the Opera. I had all of those Aurora monster kits back then, figure kits, and they turned out, I guess, halfway decent considering. Like the Frankenstein had the glow head and the hands and stuff. Wasn't really fond of that, but that was a long time ago. And I've got one. I've got the werewolf right now. That was one of the original Aurora kits. Is the only bigger model that I think I have, and but I just never was into that. And it's funny too that when I got out of high school, I told this in one of my intro video. When I got out of high school, I was going to open up a hobby shop, and that's the reason why the name Hobby Barns is that I use now, because that's what I was going to call it. Well, instead, I went to flight school and got my pilot license instead. Well, as much as I loved flying planes and airplanes and everything, and I even flew at one time. I flew co-pilot on a Learjet for a company, but I've got a bunch of airplane models, but I never built one. And it's funny, that as much as I like to fly, you would think that I would build more airplanes than I would cars. But I guess it's because I started drag racing before I ever got into, my pilot license. So I guess that's the reason why that the model cars comes first, because I'm more related to that, racing than I was flying at the time. And I mean, that's just like you. I used to be a professional photographer for NASCAR and Glamour magazines and shot on location for both magazines. And as many trips or VIP passes that I've had at NASCAR race tracks and sit and talk to the drivers and stuff after the race, though, I've got maybe one or two NASCAR models, and I've never put one together in the 59 years that I've been building models. I've never put one together, but yet I went to every race track they was taking pictures.
Yeah, see, here pretty soon I'm going to be starting the Jimmy Johnson car for the project.
Now, I did win off of, I think it was Big Charlie done his 1,000 subscriber giveaway or whatever it was. I can't remember. Memory, I can remember stuff that I told you back in the 60s. I can remember every detail and everywhere I was at and everything. But as far as 2 months ago, when I won this model here, that I think Big Charlie's the one that had it. It was Jimmy Johnson NASCAR kit. Everybody, Sarah Jade even wanted it, and everybody said that would be a good model for me to do. Well, I don't know if it's the one that you're talking about. It's well, I said no, it ain't Jimmy Johnson. It's Kevin Harvick. It's this one. That I won.
That's supposed to be a really good kit.
Well, that's what everybody said in the comments when I put it up, and made a video, said I want it. And then I got this one about a month ago from Chuck on the Chuck's hobby spot or whatever he changed the name of it to. I don't know if you see it's at Trans Am.
Oh, that's what, an 80?
Yeah, I think it's 80 something or 91 maybe. I don't know.
No,
but
it's not right.
The reason that I told everybody that I'm not going to build that one is he lives out in Nevada or Arizona. I mean, he got that from Andy's hobby headquarters when he bought all those models, like 1,300 models or whatever. Mm-hmm. That was one of the models that was in it, and he bought it. And I told him, I said, just having this model, knowing it come from Andy's hobby, headquarters, and it being one of those nostalgia, buys that he bought all those, older models. I said, I ain't gonna never build that one. I'm gonna keep that one, from now on. And Mopar, a bunch of them told me, hey, York, put that together. A lot of other people, told me in the comment when I put up that I got it. They said, "Well, you ought to build that one." Well, if I could ever get another one, I probably would. Um, that's another thing. I don't like to take a model that I only have the one of and build it without having another one to keep on the shelf. Um, I'm like Matthew, model car video. I would rather sit and look at the bottles in them in the boxes on the shelf than look at them already put together on another shelf. I mean,
Okay.
I just like collecting them. And at one time in 2008, I had 519 models, which I know is a
Whoa.
lot of people. A lot of people's got thousands of them as far as that. Miguel out in Utah or wherever he's from, I can't remember. Omaha, Nebraska, I believe is where he lives. His basement. It looks like a hobby shop. I mean, he's probably got 1,000 models, but at 519, that's still a whole lot of models. Well, my next door neighbor had a 500 Rubicon 4x4, or that he was wanting to sell. I traded him 450 of my model cars and $800 for that 4x4, or that four wheeler. And
Wow.
I regretted doing it, but at the time, I did it for my kids because they was wanting that four wheeler, and then I agreed to. Yeah, I thought it's Omaha, uh, but sorry about that, Miguel. Couldn't remember where he's from. But to me, I guess it was worth it. But now, when I got ready to move to this new house that we had built, um, I bought 54 of those models back off of him because it's my next door neighbor, and I got a real good deal in it. I mean, I bought 54 of them back off them for $300, which
Ooh.
I thought was a real good deal. It's like $5 something a piece. But I had a lot of real good kits that he didn't still have because he gave a lot of them away and stuff. Where he went to church stuff, he gave them to little kids at church and this, that, and the other, and give a lot of them away and stuff. But I ended up 54 of them. Well, just about 2 weeks ago, right before I went to the hospital, I bought the rest of the stuff that he had, all of his hobby stuff. He more or less just quit. The only thing he kept was his airbrush. I've got a big old box. I need to make a video on it if I could, of nothing but photo etch, pre-wired distributor, Protect, all this stuff, that he's bought, to do blocking and stuff like that. All kinds of paint, all kinds of weatherings, material stuff, to do it. And I got probably 20 or 30 models that he had left over from that. That some of it I had before and some I didn't. Plus, I got 16 models that he had built himself in the deal, and I gave him $300 for all that too. But I probably got $900 worth of stuff just from the box that has all the photo edits and stuff in it. Everything you pick up in there, $6, $8 a piece. And the box is crammed plumb full of it. I mean, that stuff's not cheap.
Yeah, I don't have a big stash, but you look at some of these guys that have, the thousands and thousands and thousands of kits,
Yeah.
and you just see how it overtakes like a barn over here.
Well, I've got about 220 models now, because when I traded in those 450, I had 519. Well, I may have had more than that because I ended up keeping about 90 of those models for myself. I wouldn't let him have them. Those was my best ones. Like I said, the moving on tractor and stuff like that, I wouldn't let go. I wouldn't trade that for that four wheeler. I only let him have the. I had at one time, if you remember, when Walmart done exclusive come out for AMT, the checkerboard models that you could buy at Walmart. They was like $5.49, $5.99, something like that. I had one of every one that they come out with at one time. Every one that they made, I had one of. Some of them I have two. I still got the alot. I've got two of those that I have that I bought that I didn't trade him, and I've got some of them back. When I bought the models off of them, before I moved here, I got a lot of them back. But it's just, my health is just. That's another thing that I regret about this modeling. I regret that I've waited. I believe I waited too late to get back in to start doing it again. I mean, naturally, if I can keep my health like I feel like right now, I would have no problem. But it's being able to feel like that every day is the problem. I mean, back in 2008, or back actually, what got me started back in 2001 is I got depressed because I had to quit work at 99 and sign up on Social Security. The job I had just got to the point where I couldn't do it no more. And it was either quit or get fired. So I decided, it's just time to quit, go sign up on Social Security and black lung and see what happens. It took me 5 years to get my Social Security because the fact that the law judge kept saying, well, you got too high of IQ. You can fly a plane. Well, I said, I could have went to school to be a law judge and done the same thing. I said, just because I can fly a plane don't mean I can't breathe. I said, I don't know where the hell you come from. I said, I could have a PhD. That don't mean I can breathe any damn better. I still can't, be able to work or do my job because I can't breathe. It don't matter what kind of degree I got or what I've done. I can't fly a plane now because FAA took my license. I can't pass physical no more. So having being able to fly ain't got a thing to do with me. In fact, I can't breathe. But yet they turned me down, for 2 times. And then the third time I went for a law judge, he wrote it, in my favor and give it to me. And but that, I got so depressed because I was used to working 6 and 7 days a week where I worked a apartment complex before. And then I just have to go, stop dead all at once and not do nothing. I mean, I just got to the point where I didn't care anymore. So I had ended up going, to a therapist. And they asked me, said, well, there anything kind of hobbies or anything you've ever done that you could maybe start back to doing that you feel like you was be able to do? And the only thing I think of, I said, well, I used to put model cars together when I was younger or little. And I said, I could probably do that without any problem. So that's what got me started back. I started going and buying every model car I could think of or find on eBay. I mean, it's about every other day, UPS or FedEx was bringing a package to my house. So, and that's how I ended up with 519 models, by 2008. And, but that's actually what got me started back. But then in 2008, things started getting a little worse with my breathing. And I had to, more or less quit off and on. And then here, since I moved down here, I had this one room fixed just for my hobby room. Made it into it because where I lived before, I never did really have the space to do it. I mean, I could take a model and sit maybe at the kitchen table or something and put one together. And but that was the extent of it. I lived in an apartment. I couldn't run the air compressor because it made too much noise. Or the one I had back then. The one I got now, my oxygen machine makes more noise than it does. So I could use the one I got now in the apartment. Nobody never even know it was on. But
yeah, it looks like Sarah Jane was told the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just like they actually, I guess in a way it is kind of like therapy to help you get over your depression. Because in fact you're sitting there looking at yourself. Unless it happened to you, you wouldn't know it. But you get sitting around looking to see all the things that these other people's doing. Get out here and running back up, forth, up and down the road, going, like going on hikes and stuff out in Yosemite, National Park or somewhere or another. And you sit there and you feel bad because the fact that that you can't never do that again, or you'll never be able to do it. I used to love to go fishing, but I can't. The last time I went fishing, I got so out of breath just trying to reel the fish in that I had to give it to my dad, the rod, and let him finish reeling it in. I just got so out of breath I couldn't do it. And I said then, I know now not to go, even bother to go. So I know what I can do, what I'm capable of doing, and what I ain't. And that's why it's really hard when you got those kind of problems and there's nothing you can do about it. And it makes you feel bad because you see all these other people, going to all these model car shows and walking around and buying stuff and knowing that you can't. Even if I had a scooter, my auction machine, my portable auction machine, won't allow me to stay the whole full day. I mean, because these small car shows last all day long. Well, I've got an extra battery. I can stay like 4 hours or something on that battery, so I could switch it over. But the fact is, it makes it harder for me to breathe because it only works when I breathe through my nose. And if I start getting out of breath and breathing through my mouth, that oxygen machine ain't doing me a bit of good. Now, like the one I'm on now, it's a continuous airflow. If I start getting out of breath and have to breathe through my mouth, I can just take my hose and put it down my mouth and still get air. But that portable one, I can't do that, and that limits me. I go from the hospital to home with it, and I can do that. Just sitting in the car, and but as far as getting out and being able to walk around and stuff like that, I can't do it. Now they brought me a walker that's it's got a seat on it the other day to where I could walk around outside now. And if I get start to getting out of breath or get tired, I can sit down. And before, I couldn't do that. So I've got home health and a bunch of them. They've been this last time. It's really done a whole lot for me, breathing wise, support wise, health wise. The nurses and all that stuff. Home health and everything. They make sure that I've got. They even told me they'd bring me a hospital bed for one. That I just told them I didn't need one. And I mean, I'm just glad, to be able to feel like I do right now. If I feel like it's tomorrow or a week from now, I mean, that's great, and more than likely I will, because like I told you before we got started, after they done give me those pills that I can keep this fluid off my lungs and not feel like I'm drowning, I should be able to breathe like I did, back 2 or 3 years ago when they was able to wash all that stuff out of my lungs and keep it washed out and keep my lungs opened up. And but now, even no matter how bad or how good a person's breathing is, humidity will still play a toll on you. And just like last night, I had a little trouble breathing, heart rate ran up a little bit, but I was able to get through it. And it was a lot less harder on me last night than it was, before I went to the hospital. And this morning I get up, the humidity's like 52, 53%. I'm, running 99% oxygen level. My heart rate is about 86, 87. It's nowhere near 135 like it was last night. So, just by being able to breathe and having that humidity down makes it a lot better. And this time of year where the humidity does stay lower, then I know that I'll be able to get more done. Or if I ever get a chance, if I got a chance to do anything, it will be now that the humidity's down, my lungs is cleared out, and I've got those pills to take twice a day to keep it off that fluid off my lungs and keep my breathing, up like it is. And that, that should help, for the next 6 or 8 months anyway.
Well, it's really, yeah. You just keep doing what you're doing, man. You just keep taking care of yourself, and the hobby is always there when you're ready.
Yeah. But like I said, like I said, we didn't do a whole lot, done more talking about my health than we did about models, but still, that's why I told you before, I hate that I make all these videos and stuff and they're all pertaining to my health or being in the hospital. I would rather be able to go on there and make a video. Well, this is what I got built or what I've got done on this model this week. Or this is the update on, where I'm at on this model. I wish I could do that, but until I can breathe, that ain't gonna happen. But yet I can still make videos and let everybody know how I'm doing health wise, because they still have concerns about that the same as they would if I'd built the best model in the world and showed that to them. I mean, that's what's good about this model community is people will, they'll support you where, if you're building a model or if you're telling them, I don't feel good or my health is getting the best of me, they still stand behind you one way or the other.
See, and then you get comments like this: group build for Terry.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, I know. I wished I could have done that, for Veronica and for what's called wife. I can't think of her name now.
Bella.
But and then Chuck's brother, I think his name was Keith. Yeah, I wished I would be able to, do a appreciation bill for them. Bella, that is who I was trying to think of. But I couldn't do that. I mean, like I said, I only had 30 minutes away from Doug Hensley, but I couldn't do appreciation bill for him because I was just not able.
Yeah.
You know,
So
I
so
could always take one of my models and just mail it to him and say, here, you build it yourself, or here's your appreciation. Build it the way you want it.
now see, this is just an idea for me, and it doesn't have to do with anything about building, but you have a bunch of kits you have now that you built back then, right?
I've got a few. Like I said, over the
So
years, a lot of them has got destroyed. A lot of it's got lost. I mean, between two marriages and moving several places, it was hard to keep up with everything. Like I said, I was lucky that I've still got the one that I have from 1967. That's the only model kit that I actually have that survived the last, since I was a kid.
but
The only one.
see the cool thing is you know a lot about the past in the hobby,
Yeah.
and talk about how the kits are different then to now, because you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I see what you're saying. They take one that I built back then and one that I've got now, or one that's been done lately,
Explain what
and and compare the two to what
because
how,
everybody would watch that. At least I
yeah.
would.
Well, they even I'm pretty sure if I ain't mistaken, somebody had a video challenge or something on there, or like it wasn't a group build, but it was a build that was the only thing you was allowed to use was what you had available back then. It'd be just a can of paint, the red tube of Testor's glue,
Yeah,
and
fast shooting. Yeah.
a kit. And but I know somebody had a video or a challenge on there, to get everybody involved in doing that, which I thought that was pretty cool to be able just to use what you had available back then growing up instead of what you got now. You back then, like I said, you either use fishing line or you use thread for your spark plug wires
No,
because that's all you had. And now it's even got model building has gone a step further with all this 3D printing. And I don't think it'll ever take the place of the actual going and being able to buy a kit as far as 3D printing. It'll probably be more like buying detailed parts or photo etch parts. You go and buy 3D printed parts to add to that model that you bought.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to replace the model itself. Some people say it might be the next thing that it'll do away with models altogether. Well, resin bodies ain't done away with it. And it's the same thing. You can buy all the resin bodies from Jimmy Jones or Jimmy. Um, like I said, my mind goes. I can't remember his name, but Jimmy Flintstone. You can buy all these resin models and stuff he's got, but you still got to have a kit to put it on. So I don't think the 3D printing is going to actually take the place of going and buying a model kit itself at Hobby Lobby or anywhere else.
Right now, I would agree with you, right, with that statement. But you give it another, we'll say 5, 6 years, maybe even 10, and we might be having a different conversation then.
Well,
it's not where it needs to be right now. But
let's put it this way:
getting better.
I hope I'm still around when that time comes, 5 or 6 years from now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't care a bit to say, well, I remember saying that back then, and I'll take it back. That they actually did replace buying model kits from the store. But, just for the simple fact that I know that I got to live 5 or 6 more years from now. But I don't look for being around when that time comes. Is what I'm more or less trying to say. I mean, it's not. I mean, with the technology and stuff we got now, I'm surprised. What is available out there, what can be made. Nobody even knows. And just to make the 3D printers start with, and then the fact that somebody decides to do model cars with it instead of maybe using it for what it was originally intended for to start with. I don't know what it was made. Why they built 3D printers in the beginning. I mean, I know they didn't just say, well, we'll just make a 3D printer or a machine that will print model car parts. Now, I know that wasn't what the original intention was. People found out that they could actually make model car parts, and that's what they started doing. It's not the original purpose, I'd say, behind a 3D printer.
No, it's really not. 3D printing started out as like prototyping. It's what it's really meant for.
Yeah.
It's coming out with the original design, getting it, and then doing the molds and stuff after that. That's where some of our better kits are coming from.
Yeah, because you're going through like a CAD program, to build that file to make it, print. I can understand that, and that's why I said, it's hard to say how much farther they will be able to go later on. And I notice a lot of the 3D printers that most everybody has now, plate, it's not actually big enough to build the whole complete model. That the build plate would have to be a lot larger in order to create the body, because like they're on a 5x7 plate, like the one McGill has. That build plate can only hold so much, or it can't go over. Yeah. So if you got a model that's 8 or 9 inches long, well then that build plate ain't gonna hold it. So they've got to come out with a printer, and they may already have one. I'll make an 8x10 build plate, that will actually be able to build it. But then you're talking thousands of dollars, and these model builders is not going to invest that kind of money just to be able to make them a model car, not unless they just got more money than they know what to do with, and I don't. And but if you wanted to go into business and do that, I could see you investing $2,000 or $3,000 in a 3D printer if you wanted to make that a business and just sell 3D printed models as a business. You would recoup your money back that way, just like the ones people's doing it now. They're building like making these 3D printed engines and stuff like that. Well, yeah, you can sell that engine to somebody to put into a model car, maybe for $30-$40, and get your money back out of that $300 printer that you bought to make it with. I mean, it's just it's like I said, the model building community or model building is based on what your limit is to your imagination is. I mean, depending on your imagination, there is no limit in model building.
No, absolutely not.
And your
scratch building.
Yeah, and it's just like scratch building. I mean, I've seen people. I watched a guy do a video. He took and made a V6 motor out of a 9-volt battery, and I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. That's where he put the fan and the pulleys and the fan belt, for the water pump and the crank, and then he put the headers and stuff, that he made, but he made it out of a 9-volt battery. I mean, who would think, that you could make a straight 6 motor out of a 9-volt battery? I mean, it's neat as hell to watch him, make that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just the imagination that a person has, just like I said with all these tips I had, a lot of people wouldn't even think about using icicles, for environmental foil or whatever. It's just stuff that you think of. Just like I use clear fingernail polish to put in headlights and windshields and stuff, because where it's clear, it won't glaze the plastic, and it's clear, it won't show. You can put it in around the headlight and stick it in, and that fingernail polish will hold as good as any glue. But yeah, it won't. It's, to me, it's better than any type of glue that you normally use anyway. Even canopies for airplanes, that fingernail polish will work a lot better because it won't show up, or it won't graze the plastic.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And a lot of people don't think about the fact that you can use fingernail polish like that, or clear fingernail polish. I put coffee cups and stuff, the handles and stuff back together with it, and it holds. And you drink coffee out of it, everything with a handle broken, just put fingernail polish on it and let it dry, and it'll hold it together. The other thing I was talking about your day, I know we're running over, but I've been thinking on whether or not where building models with acrylic craft paint because I
Yeah.
can't use anything strong. Then using future floor polish, or I use what they call mop and shine, with dollars. But putting food coloring in it and making transparent blue and transparent red for your headlights and stuff like that, or your tail lights. And
I never thought of that. That's a good idea.
Well, that's why I said. I mean, it's just your imagination is the limit. So I thought, well, if you're going to spray clear on it, if you could take that food color and it's water based anyway, why can't you tint that clear and spray over top of your model, and give it like that you can do like the metal flake paint job on the bottom, put your design and stripes and all that stuff in it, then go back and spray it like with a candy apple color, make it look like you sprayed it with candy apple clear or whatever over it, and give it that in-depth look of what's underneath it without distorting it and making it just plain clear. But you're not limited. I mean, you take any color, food color, the normal 4 colors, and make any color that you wanted to mix with that clear. And I said, if I can take blue food color and mix it with that clear, well, all these fittings that goes in, like your fuel filters or your fuel line stuff, well, I can tint them with that blue food color or a clear paint. And the same way with the red, or I can go in and tint the taillights and stuff with the red. Or the yellow. You put yellow food coloring in it. Instead of going out here and buying a bottle of, transparent red or whatever, or blue from Tamiya, I can make it with, a $2 pack of food coloring and a little bit of clear. I mean, it's just a thought. I don't know if it even worked or not, but I figure, that's something that could, person could try. And I don't see the reason why it wouldn't work, because it's not going to separate because they're all water based anyway.
No, yeah, like I said, that's a great idea. I would have never thought of that, but you're right. Yeah. It would so work.
Yeah.
Now,
but I mean, your color choice would be unlimited. Is what your color choice could be. That is if you know what colors it takes to make a certain color. What colors it takes to make it. Or yellow and blue makes green or whatever, as long as you know your color wheel, then you're unlimited, on what colors you could use to mix in with that clear and spray that model.
No, yeah, like I said, those are all great tips. Now, Terry, we've been going like an hour and a half. Yeah. I don't want to keep you all day, right?
But really I'm fine.
To talk to you, right?
Yeah,
and got all kinds of great ideas, but
you can tell but you can tell I'm not even out of breath or anything. I mean, I'm fine. I know. I know your shows don't usually run that long. I've watched all the other ones. That people you had on, like Michelle and all the guys you had last time, and I know how that long you usually stay about an hour. Try to keep it around that, but. I guess
when you get questions for me before we take off.
No, I was just going to ask you. I told you what my biggest regret was not being able to save my bottles that I had back then. I was just going to ask you, what is your biggest regrets up until this point about your model building that you've had?
You know what?
Or have you had any?
No, it's kind of a catch-22. It's something I should have bought a long time ago, and I just didn't until probably about a year ago. But a really good spray booth. I have the Micromart 15 by 20 spray booth.
Yeah,
and I should have bought that when I started.
Yeah,
because that thing is so freaking awesome about getting all the paint and stuff. And the cool thing is you take those furnace filters.
Yeah.
And I just set that on top. I mean, everything just sits on top of it anyway, and it just sucks everything down because the filters that come with it, they're good, Don't get me wrong, but they don't have enough support to keep the model, you know, at a certain level, so they start to sink and.
Yeah.
But,
Well, that's what I bought. I don't know if it's the master model or kind or whatever, but I've got the one that's got the LED lights all the way around it too. That lights up with mine, and I've not even got to try it out yet. I bought it right before I moved into this house down here. When I got back in and started building models again, I went and bought everything. I bought probably $1,000 worth of stuff, supplies and stuff, all kinds of Tamiya clear thin cement, all the panel line, thinner and stuff. And but I bought that, the paint booth, and I took and I went to a dollar store and bought poster paper, like these big 36-inch, sheets of poster board, and I lined the sides and the bottom of that paint booth with that poster board. Instead of, so whenever I do spray, I'm not going to be spraying it on that plastic sides and stuff. I'm going to be spraying it on that poster board. So when it gets to bad, that starts to take effect and start settling down on the model, then I just take it off and put new poster board back up and keep those walls and the floor part of it clean all the time. And I always, even when I had my real body shop, I always wet the floor and the walls and everything down before I painted. In the same way, what I would do here, I would take a water bottle or a spray bottle and spray that filter, the sides inside that model, the paint booth, spray outside the table that's sitting on and anything around. And, before I started painting, to give any dust or whatever, when I turned that airbrush or that booth on, that it would suck, the air would, the water would catch it. And I, would turn it on before then too, before I actually started, to give it time to settle down. Because, that's the whole thing about building models or painting them, is no matter how good a model car builder you are or how good a painter you are, realize get dirt in it. I don't care the best that you could do. Now, I had probably the best paint booth that you could have when I had my real body shop, but I still got dirt in that paint because there's no way around it. Time you slinging that hose, you're going from one side of the car to the other, and you're leaning over it, just the least little bit of fuzz off of your clothes or anything can end up drop down on that car. In the same way, the model, the least little bit of buzz or anything floating around, even in this whole room, will end up eventually on top of that model car by just the fact the fan is pulling it out of the room right straight to it.
Yeah.
And the only thing
you can't have too strong a fan, but it's got to be strong enough to get the feel. Yeah,
but it's like I said, anybody's got a regular, does on real cars. You're going to have to sand it out one way or another. Whether you leave it in with the original paint and then try to take it out with the clear, or you're just going to have to let it stay in there and leave it as it is.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly.
Especially if you paint it with metallic, and I mean you can't sand metallic anyway. You sand the clear, it's over top of it, but you're still going to have that dirt in that paint.
Well, anyway, Terry, if you don't have any other questions for me, I'm going to end this. I didn't know if you had any other questions for me, though. I've
been trying to think of, if I could think of any, but that was the only one. I know that, what my regret was, but not saving all them. Because like I said, all the models that I built back then was all original. There was no reproductions because we was growing up in the time that the models was actually coming out, with Revell and Monogram and MPC and all those, was before they was bought out by each other. I mean, the kits that we had, if it said AMT on it, it was AMT. It was AMT Ertl. It wasn't Matchbox or nothing like that. It was actually owned by AMT. Same way with the Aurora. I've had even those Hubley model kits. I've had the I can't think of the name of it now. It starts with a P. I've got a Mustang. Well, it's actually sitting right here beside me. It's from IMC model car, kits. It's the only one I've got, and I don't remember ever building one back in the '60s. This is a '65 Mustang that I've got, and it was made in '65. But I know that they made more models because I've got a model car price guide book, and it does have a few of those of their kits in it. Not a whole lot, because evidently they didn't stay in business long, and somebody else has even bought them out, evidently, because you don't never see any on the market. You don't ever see anybody that does a video of their hobby shop room or whatever that displays any IMC models. I don't. I just happen to have this one. A guy that I went to high school with give it to me, and that's how I ended up with it. Well, we went to a 40-year class reunion, and I started, talking to him about model cars and stuff. And he told me, "So, well, I've got some that I'll give you." And that was one of them. And I'd never seen that brand before until then. Didn't even know they made it.
Well, thank you again for coming on, Terry. You've given all kinds of tips tonight, and to be honest, if you're not subscribed to Terry, get subscribed to his channel. Yeah. I'm sure everybody in the chat right now is subscribed to you, but
yeah. And like I always tell everybody too, if you subscribe to my channel, I will turn around and subscribe back to yours if I'm not already. Most everybody subscribes to me, I'm already subscribed to them to start with. But in case I'm not subscribed, I will turn around and subscribe back. I mean, I don't expect somebody to do something else for me and not return the favor. And I've had a good time, sitting here and doing this. I was a little bit nervous to start with, because I've never done a one-on-one interview. I've been in hangouts and stuff, that's a little bit different. You're sitting there talking to everybody, don't pay attention or worry about nothing. But sitting here doing it directly back and forth, I can see now why these celebrities don't like doing interviews. It's because you never know what the hell they're going to ask you, and then they're going to sit there and put you on the spot and say, "Oh shit, how am I supposed to answer this one without getting in trouble?" And but this, I really had a good time, and I hope everybody out there in the chat room, is learn a little bit more about me, or know a little bit more about my health and stuff. That's been listening, and I really appreciate all of them that is subscribed to me, because that means a lot. It's not because I don't worry about the money. I never will have enough subscribers to worry about getting paid or anything like that. That's not what we do it for anyway. I do it because I enjoy doing it. It's just like everybody else. That's why you're in this hobby to start with, because it's because you enjoy it. If you didn't enjoy doing something, then what would be the point of doing it? I mean, that'd be like going and working a job that you hated work. What would be the point in showing up if you hate going every day? It's not because of the money, because you can get a job making money anywhere. But to do this hobby, you got to enjoy it. And and you can enjoy it a lot more when you got other people out there enjoying it and sharing it with you. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like I told one of them nurses the other day at the hospital. It's not the fact that I'm the only one 65 years old that builds model cars. I said, some kids will look at you and say, "You're crazy, be that old and you playing with model cars." Well, there's probably hundreds, or not, at least tens of thousands of other people out there as old as I am that's doing the same damn thing. So I'm not, it's not just me that's doing it. There's other people out there that enjoys it as much as I do. Now, today makes 1 month since I turned 65. My birthday was September 23rd.
Happy birthday, dude.
Well, thanks. But, I mean, to me, like I said, I started when I was 6 years old. So that makes 59 years altogether off and on that I've been doing this. I mean, not continuously. Not say nobody else has either. But it's just the fact, for doing it off and on for 59 years, just goes to show how well that I enjoy doing it, to stick with it that long and still continue to do it. I could stop doing it a long time ago and just forgot all about it and never done it again. But yet I've still got this hobby room that's 65 years old, and if not my health, I'll do it for another 20 years if I live long enough. for how long, it's just that when you got something that you enjoy, you stick with it.
Very, very true. Thank you again for coming on. I'm gonna talk to you in a couple minutes
All
on
right.
the offline, and
Okay.
unmute the camera. Helps to unmute the mic. But anyway, that's the interview. I just thought this would be a great way to do a tribute for Terry. He's truly going to be missed in this hobby, or in the community, in the YouTube world. So, if you guys ain't got anything you want to ask, I think I'm going to end it here, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, let's see. What do we got? Yeah, I thought it was a great idea. I did ask a couple people what they thought of this idea too, so just to kind of see what the community would think too. Yeah, no problem, man. But yeah, I will see you guys next time. I think there's a live hangout somewhere. I'm sure I'll jump on there here in a minute. But bye.